Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Oh, the first thing on our agenda this morning is the consent agenda. And it has the approval of the minutes from February 6th, approval of payroll, approval of vouchers, approve and sign the monthly earnings and collections from the clerk, district court, and the sheriff. It's a pleasure of the board.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve as listed. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Yeah, it's just because of the sound. It's in and out. Okay, 9:35. So go ahead and come on up if you want. This is a public hearing, so we'll give it a minute or two, but sign some things while we're.
Lee, did that 5% property tax thing get out of committee?
I think so.
Which one?
The one that the commissioners approved of
145.
one, or was it
45. 45.
There you
I
go.
gotta check. I think it did. Yes, it did.
Okay. Joy was asking about it this morning, so.
I think Jeremiah mentioned that this morning. Those are yours. Okay, it is 9:35, so we will open the public hearing. Kim Delavan, Park County Planning and Zoning Assistant Director, and Jenny Gunnar, minor subdivision 77 sketch plan.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
So for this project, the Heinrichs are the applicants, and they did submit a minor subdivision application to us in December of last year. We received a revised sketch plan on January 10th of this year. So the applicants request approval of the subdivision. If approved, it will create a 17.94 acre lot. There'll be a remaining parcel of 52.62 acres. Ownership is Triple KB Ranch, ownership of the property. Obviously, we've classified this as a minor subdivision. The parcel currently is just a little over a 70 acre tract. This property is in the GRP zoning district. The lot size as proposed is consistent with that district. This proposed subdivision is 3¼ miles southeast of Powell. The property is currently vacant. It has little change in elevation. This property is not located within a mile of any municipality, so that review is not required. A notice of intent to subdivide was published in the Pal Tribune in November and December of last year as required. Public notice requirements have been met. Agency referral notices or requirements have been met. MDU responded. They stated there is a gas services available. There's a 2-inch main on the south side of County Lane 11. Park County School District 1 responded. They said they could provide bus service. TCT responded. They said they may have the ability to provide internet and phone service to this lot. Park County Clerks or Powell Clerks for Conservation District provided a soils report identifying soils on the property. Those soils are primarily not limited for dwellings and small commercial structures, but very limited for septic fields. Park County Fire District 1 said they can provide fire suppression. Weed and Pest found the presence of noxious weeds, and they do require a long-term noxious weed management plan. Post Office stated mail delivery will be available when residents are ready. DEQ responded with agency contacts and information for permitting associated with various construction activities. The Elk Water Users Association, they responded, they request an easement of 80 feet on each side from the center of a canal as a canal easement. And that canal is in a loop on the north side of this proposed lot. And Madam Chair, that lot is not in their district, but the remainder parcel is. Park County Treasurer stated property taxes are paid in full. Willwood Irrigation District responded. They said also the property does not appear to be in their district. However, they have a drainage ditch on the south side of where this lot will be, and they maintain that. Willwood Irrigation stated that they normally request a 50-foot easement from the center of any ditch, in this case from this ditch. And regarding the fence, should there be a fence, consistent with state statute, Willwood Irrigation District stated that they would likely allow a fence to be constructed across their easement, but they said if they needed to do any work, they would have to remove or go through that fence or whatever. And any replacement of that fence would be at the owner's expense. Game and Fish responded. They said they have no terrestrial wildlife comments. Willwood Light and Power responded. They said they do have the capacity to serve this lot. However, they said, Willwood Light and Power, they're not able to obtain an easement from Willwood Irrigation District to bring power to the lot, which my understanding would be along or through the irrigation district easement. They said, again, Willwood Light and Power, they said they're willing to release the lot from their service boundary if the applicant is able to secure power from Garland Light and Power. And Madam Chair, so that is the information regarding power. Of course, this is a minor, and so electricity is required to be adjacent to this lot. Public Works responded. They commented that there is access to this lot from Road 5 and County Lane 11. In their response, which you had a chance to read, they talked about the roads classification not being changed. Public Works responded that or reiterated that no new roads would be required. They talked about right-of-way permits, and they mentioned that they're not concerned with drainage or erosion control. Madam Chair, we've received no public comments. Our pre-app meeting was held in October of last year. We do have a current title report. I mentioned no new roads are proposed. Solid waste disposal services are available through private carriers. There is potential for shallow groundwater in the area. We know of no other hazards, Madam Chair, in the area. Our conclusion is application submission requirements for sketch plan review have been met. There was a subsurface evaluation that was done. Perk test results on this proposed lot 1 found perk rates of 10 minutes per inch to 11 11 minutes per inch. An excavation cut was done and groundwater was found at a depth of 8 feet. Domestic water is going to be provided by an existing on-site well. That's the plan. There is a well on proposed lot 1. And there has been a water well sample that has been submitted for analysis. But as of today, I believe we've not received any of those results. So we're still waiting for that, Madam Chair. And again, should that water well sample results, should they not come in, the applicants have a chance to put on the final plat that statement talking about no water analysis was conducted. Cisterns may be required. This property is in an ag overlay district. Ag impacts pertaining to sketch plan review have been addressed. We went into some detail in the staff report. And again, based on responses from the Elk Water Users Association and Willwood Irrigation District, that proposed lot is not within either of their boundaries. No stream or river passes within or adjacent to the lot. We feel like a review and recommendation of a water distribution plan is required from Elk Waters Users Association because there is a pivot, is my understanding, on this lot. And my understanding is to feed that pivot, they pull water out of the Elk Water Users Canal, even though it's our understanding it's really in nobody's boundary, in nobody's district. We believe there should be there's no state review of water rights required. Lot standards have been met. There's no common maintenance of facilities that are proposed. There's no sidewalk, street lighting, alleys, or open spaces proposed. Our conclusion is an HOA will not be required. It does appear that livestock can run at large legally on the lands adjacent to the proposed subdivision. So we believe that Wyoming statute regarding perimeter fence is necessary and those conditions. The Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed the sketch plan in January of this year. They recommended approval. They did have some conditions. And one last finding, Madam Chair, as you can probably tell, I'm trying to summarize our findings instead of going through the staff report, trying to be more efficient. No portion of proposed lot 1 falls within a special flood hazard area. Madam Chair, we do have some recommended conditions. May I read those?
Yes, sir.
Our conditions that we're recommending: 1, the applicant shall provide all easements as requested by applicable utilities and special districts, irrigation districts, or public agencies providing services. The width of any utility easement shall be sufficient to allow adequate maintenance of the system. In no case shall such utility easement be less than 20 feet in width. Easements must be identified on the final plat. At the time of final plat application, the applicant, and this is number 2, at the time of final plat application, the applicant shall submit a draft subdivision improvements agreement to our department addressing required improvements. For example, we feel like it will probably be necessary to have electricity in that and a perimeter fence in that. There might be other improvements. The improvements may not be installed until the SIA has been reviewed and approved by the board and county attorney, Board of County Commissioners, and county attorney, and recorded in the office of the Park County Clerk. Number 3, prior to final plat review by the board, the applicant shall submit an approved long-term noxious weed management plan to our department. Number 4, the applicant shall provide water test results from a well within 1/2 mile. Again, there is a well located on proposed lot 1. Or a note on the final plat should be: no water analysis was conducted and the availability and quality of potable water is unknown. Cisterns may be required. Our 5th recommended condition is: prior to final plat review by the board, the applicant shall provide to the Planning and Zoning Department a review and recommendation from the Elk Water Users Association regarding the water distribution plan. Our 6th recommended condition is: prior to final plat review by the board, the applicant shall provide evidence of 1, an existing legal perimeter fence as prescribed by Wyoming statute 1128-102, or 2, written consent from all adjacent landowners. A perimeter fence is not necessary. Or 3, plans to construct a perimeter fence as required by statute in accordance with Wyoming statute 18.5.306. A8. Number 7, prior to final plat review by the board, the applicant shall place the following note on the final plat. Any proposed water wells on the subdivision lots, Madam Chair, it should be subdivision lot, shall be permitted by the Wyoming State Engineer's Office prior to installation. Number 8, prior to final plat review by the board, the applicant shall place a note on the final plat regarding the potential for seasonal high groundwater, and as a result, engineered septic systems may be required. Number 9, prior to final plat review by the board, the applicant shall place a notice of the Wyoming Right to Farm and Ranch Act of 1991 on the final plat. And number 10, the applicant shall otherwise comply with standards in the Park County Development Regulations and the minimum subdivision requirements as set forth in Wyoming Statute 18.5.306. Thank you, Madam Chair. We're happy to answer questions.
I just have one real quick, and it has to do with the discussion on the water rights and the Elk Canal. You said there would be no state review of water rights, but yet a request to Elk Canal for the service for water use?
Well, so since this is a minor, we're considering like any other minor, and with any other minor, correct me if I'm wrong, when they have irrigation rights, we expect to get a water distribution plan back from the irrigation district, but we generally say no state review required. So I guess our thought is in this case, since they are getting water from the Elk Association, although they're not in their boundary, we feel it would be proper to receive some kind of review from the Elk Association.
But
And Madam
I
Chair,
agree.
I'm not sure, and they may be able to answer to this better, but I'm not sure if we found that they actually are in Elk Canal.
Okay.
We feel like they are in a district. It's just.
But Elk Canal tells us they're
Yeah,
not in theirs,
yeah,
and Willwood tells us they're not in theirs.
But they do have rates from the Elk Level Canal.
okay. That just sounds pretty muddy, to say the least.
Yes, yes, and
Okay.
we did reach out to the state engineer's office and did get.
Okay. Any other
Madam
questions?
Chair,
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, Kim, I'd like to circle back to the comment you made about Willwood not allowing Willwood irrigation, not allowing Willwood electrical to have an easement, bring a power line across. Is the Willwood Canal on the applicant's property? Is it travel through their property?
Madam
yeah,
Chair and
go ahead.
Commissioner Livingston, it is, they have a large wastage. Willwood does that runs along, the county road on the south side.
Yeah, south of the proposed lot.
Mhm.
Okay, I mean, I guess my question would be is does Willwood have an exclusive easement restricting anyone, not allowing anyone else to utilize that easement? Or, I mean, if they don't have an exclusive, I don't see how they can restrict another easement from being placed over, is my question.
Sure, and again, Nick Hummel is here and he may have some better information. He's been working on this. It is our understanding that that Willwood Irrigation District, well, one, to answer your easement question, it is like all irrigation districts, and it's not a recorded easement, so I'm not sure if it would be considered exclusive. That's a good question. But it's my understanding that the real issue was they were not wanting poles every so many feet because they have to clean that ditch from the road. But the applicant was, and our subdivision regulations make underground necessary, required. So underground may not be an issue, so we'll have an update here from them.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And
I don't-
Madam Chair, and my understanding, that statement came from, correct me if I'm wrong, came from Willwood Light and Power.
Yes.
They said that they could not essentially get power across the Willwood Irrigation District easement.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, I did refresh my memory. Why is this a minor? and not a simple,
The-
because you're just splitting a lot.
Good question. The Harshman simple subdivision 2-lot came out of this tract of record initially.
Can you speak
Oh,
louder
sorry,
for me? I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. The Harshman simple subdivision, it's a 2-lot simple subdivision, came out of this tract of record after 2001. So this would be the 3rd lot that came out
This
of
is a split of another subdivision. No,
the remainder part of another subdivision.
okay.
Yeah,
So it is a split of something that was already split off, regardless of whether it was fell under a acreage
Yes.
amount or anything.
yes.
Okay.
Any other questions from the commissioners at this time? This is a public hearing, so I guess we probably will have a few questions for Mr. Hummel. If you want to come up and use the mic, please, because that's the only way Commissioner Livingston is going to be able to hear you. Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioners, Nick Hummel with Engineering Associates, here for our client, that couldn't make it today. Let's start with the Willwood Power situation. We've met with Willwood Irrigation District and Willwood Power a couple times now in the last just 2 weeks. We are working on getting approvals with landowners, coming up with a plan to fulfill everybody's requirements to make, irrigation district happy with the power pole situation. Willwood Power, they pretty much have everything above ground. And I think, as you know, from other projects within the area, there is definitely some tight numbers of supply demand in the area. So we'll be coming off the current plan right now is to come off the road 5 line that they refer it to. It's about 1,400 feet away from the subject parcel of the subdivision. So within the SIA and the final plat packet that we'll provide, we're also going to provide a map to show the details of this utility improvement for the subdivision. There'll be a lot of other details within it, but as of right now, the irrigation district is good and it has approved the project. Power company has also approved the project. We're just getting some final approvals with the landowners that we're working with as well. So
Is there any other?
did you have any other questions on the power, I guess, while we're on that subject
Yes, right here.
again regarding that? Okay. Regarding the irrigation, Friday, February 16th, we received a letter from Fred Hopkins with the Elk Level Canal. I did not supply this since we just received it 3 days ago. But it does state that there are water rights within the parcel under Elk Water Users District. Both parcels, I'm assuming he's referring to the remainder parcel and the subdivision parcel. They both lie within the delivery area of the Elk Canal. We are needing to reach out to him again because he did not refer to the requirement or the need of a water distribution plan. This district is much smaller than the typical Heart Mountain or Coda Canal. We've never, on past projects, we've never been required to do a water distribution plan within that district. So we're assuming that's the case at this time. I've heard it verbally, but I don't have written proof. Like, we will supply with the final plat packet.
Okay.
I wanted to address the water well on the property as well. We did have a water sample sent to Energy Labs on January 11th of this year. It came back as a negative. I don't specifically remember which part of the test had failed, but essentially it needed a good wash with some bleach and such, and he was going to send out another sample. But if not, he's also fine with putting the notes on the final plat of the water analysis conducted, availability and potable water cisterns may be required situation.
Okay.
I think that's all the questions you had at this time.
Is there any other public that would like to speak to this? Any other public input?
Madam Chair, I move we close the public hearing.
Second,
Been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
I,
Anyone opposed? Okay. So the pleasure of the board on the Gunner minor subdivision.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the Gunner Minor subdivision sketch plan with conditions by staff.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the subdivision sketch plan, including the conditions stated. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
I,
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Madam
Okay.
Chair,
Yes,
resolution 2024-07.
Thank you.
thank
Colby.
you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. We will update the page here. Okay, the next thing on our agenda, Kim Delavan and Jenny again, planning and zoning. Muddy Creek Simple Sub 310 Final Plat.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we did receive, obviously this is final plat review. We did receive that application from Mr. Boogler on, or Boer, is it Boer? Boer, on January 12th of this year. We did receive a revised final plat on January 25th of this year. Applicant requests approval of the final plat. If it's approved, it will create one lot, which is 0.56 acres, and one lot 0.83 acres. The lots are designated for commercial use. They are in a commercial zoning district in the Powell planning area. So this property is located along the south boundary of Powell city limits. It's on the southwest corner of the intersection of Highway 295, also known as Road 9, and West Monroe Street, which is also known as Lane 9.5. It does have an address. The property is within 1 mile of the city of Powell, so municipal review is required. We did hear back from the city of Powell, and they were notified several times on one was May 18th of last year, and one was June 6th of last year. Property is surrounded by land classified primarily agriculture to the west and south, commercial to the east and northeast. Proposed lot 1 is developed. It does have an unpermitted residence and a shed building, has a permitted septic system, and there is a permitted shop building that exists on proposed lot 2. Property has little change in elevation. Domestic water is provided to both proposed lots now by the city of Powell. And we go into some detail on that when you look at the responses from the city of Powell. But both proposed lots do have commercial water. Domestic water. The lot sizes as proposed are consistent with the C zoning district. Notice of intent requirements have been met. Agency referral requirements have been met. Park County Fire District responded. They said they can provide fire protection. MDU responded. They said they currently provide natural gas service to proposed lot 1, and they have the capacity to serve lot 2. TCT responded. They say they may be able to provide internet and phone service to both of these lots. In terms of Park County School District number 1, we reached out to them. They responded. This property was within their designated walk zone. So our understanding is, should students need to receive bus service on either of these lots, they will need to walk to Southside Elementary and catch a bus there and go to whatever school they ultimately end up if they don't go to Southside. We received a response from WIDOT. They said there is a permitted residential access to proposed lot 2. They said, however, if a commercial use is proposed on that lot, it will require an access application for a change of use to WIDOT. Postal Service said they can provide mail delivery when it's necessary. Powell Clarksville Conservation District, they responded, they reported one soil type on the property. Wyoming DEQ responded with their standard letter, stated that what would be required should certain development activities occur. Park County Treasurer Office responded, the last we heard to our knowledge, property taxes have not been paid and now delinquent. But of course, we wrote this several weeks ago. To my knowledge, we've not heard anything new. Okay, so that's our understanding as of 10 days ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago. Shoshone Irrigation District, they responded. Of course, we reached out to them, obviously. They confirmed no water rights exist on the property. Game and Fish responded. They have no terrestrial wildlife comments. The city of Powell, again, they responded several times. And really, I guess probably the relevant response is they currently have city water going to both of these proposed lots. Public Works responded. They confirmed that proposed access from West Monroe Street, also known as Lane 9.5, to Lot 1 is existing, and that historic access is good with Public Works. It's acceptable to them. Property also has legal access from Highway 295 and from Park County Lane 9.5 by direct frontage. So, Madam Chair, you probably know this, but our understanding is West Monroe Street and Park County Lane 9.5 are one and the same, the same street. And my understanding is the county and the city has worked out some kind of a maintenance agreement for that road. No new subdivision roads are proposed. Development lots must be addressed in accordance with road and bridge standards. That is a comment we got from Public Works. A right-of-way permit must be obtained from Park County Public Works for any new accesses or improvements. We did receive a response back from Weed and Pest. Mary said a long-term noxious weed management plan will not be required, but she recommends the following best management practices. Rocky Mountain Power has been contacted, but we've not received a response from them. No public comments have been received. Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of the subdivision at their June 2023 meeting. They had conditions. The applicant did submit percolation test results and a depth to groundwater cut from proposed lot 2. I did submit a letter saying that feasibility of septic systems, what septic systems would be feasible. Again, the city of Powell reviewed the plans for the subdivision, submitted comments. Again, they confirmed 2 water metered services exist. The plat review committee reviewed the final plat on January 19th of this year, and then a revised final plat was submitted, which you see in the packet, was submitted on January 25th of this year. And Madam Chair, if I may, I'll read our recommendations. First of all, we recommend approval of this. We do have 5 recommended conditions. One is the applicant shall provide all easements as requested by applicable utilities and special districts, irrigation districts, or public agencies providing services. The width of any utility easements shall be sufficient to allow adequate maintenance of the system, but in no case shall such utility easement be less than 20 feet in width. Easements must be identified on the final plat. Our second recommended condition is prior to recording the final plat, the applicant shall provide a response from Rocky Mountain Power to the Planning and Zoning Department. Our third recommended condition is that prior to recording the final plat, the applicant shall provide evidence from Park County Public Works to the Planning and Zoning Commission that they have readdressed Lot 1 from Park County Lane 9.5 or West Monroe Street. And Madam Chair, I don't think I mentioned that when I was summarizing the findings, but one thing that Public Works needs to have happen is Lot 1 needs to be readdressed, because I believe, if I remember, and I should probably read, but I think now the addresses are from the highway.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is something that Public Works requires.
Okay.
Our fourth condition, recommended condition is prior to recording the final plat, the applicant shall provide documentation to the Planning and Zoning Department from the Park County Treasurer's Office, evidence that property taxes have been paid and are current. And then our fifth recommendation, the applicant shall otherwise comply with standards in the Park County Development Regulations and the minimum subdivision requirements as set forth in Wyoming Statute 185306.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners?
Is the applicant here?
Right here.
My question more for you than staff, why don't you choose to annex? Just to me, looking at it from just, it just makes sense to annex into the city.
It does. It was just something I didn't want to do.
I can't hear that.
Just something he did not want to do.
After staying.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
one time, sometimes when, of course, if you annex, then there's the sidewalk requirement, a lot more concrete involved, so sometimes it's a cost issue for some of these people. I do want to point out that I've driven by that property for over 40 years and it's cleaned up now a little bit, so appreciate the work that you've done on it and that hopefully it'll be a good addition.
Any other comments or questions? Yes.
One more, just thinking, I mean, you're pretty small acreage and we have confirmed that there is room for adequate septic room setbacks and away from easements and everything that can happen.
Yes. Yeah, I
know
believe
with
that.
the water there, that frees up a lot, but
Yeah. Yeah.
looking at the tiny, 94 feet doesn't give you a lot of room. Or, having to have the setbacks from buildings and other easements, property boundaries, but okay.
And something that has transpired since then is they've submitted an application for an addition to the shop that exists on the other lot that the old septic system permit had expired. So they did actually get us a site plan and a new septic system permit has been approved for that lot as well.
Yeah, and that's, Madam Chair and Commissioner Teal, I believe that's proposed lot 2.
Yes.
The lot to the east, and I believe that system is actually now in the ground. I believe that system has been permitted.
Okay.
So yeah, I think there it is tight, but there is room.
Any other questions or concerns? It's the pleasure of the board.
Madam Chair, I move to approve Muddy Creek subdivision 310 final plat with staff conditions. Second.
Been moved and seconded
Second.
to approve the final plat for Muddy Creek simple sub number 310 as presented. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you,
Resolution
Commissioner.
20.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
08.
Yes, resolution 2024-08.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Right, then we will move on to Park County Planning and Zoning with Kim Delvin and Jenny. New Roots Vineyard and Wineries, simple sub 316 final.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. So we did receive a final plat application from Mitch Davidson, who is the property owner. We received that January of this year. And then we received a revised final plat on January 26th of this year. And Kurt Hauk was the applicant for sketch plan review, but he withdrew himself from this project in January of this year. So the landowner, Mitch Davidson, still wants to move forward with the subdivision. So he is serving as applicant for the final plat.
Okay.
The applicant requests approval of this final plat. It will create 1 7-acre lot and 1.2 acre lot from an existing 114.7 acre parcel. Should this be approved, the subdivision will result in a remaining parcel of 106.5 acres. The proposed use of the subdivision is to be residential and commercial. The property is located approximately 5 miles northeast of Powell. It's just north of County Lane 5, and it's approximately 1 mile west of Highway 114. Neighboring land uses are agriculture, residential. There are some exempt land uses in the area and residential vacant. And the exempt lands in the area are managed by Bureau of Rec. The proposed subdivision is not within a mile of any municipality, so that review is not required. Proposed lot 1 is undeveloped, but used primarily for ag purposes. Proposed lot 2 is also undeveloped. The property has little change in elevation. Subdivision is in the GRP zoning district. The lot sizes as proposed are consistent with that zoning district. Notice of intent was in the Powell Tribune twice in October of last year as required. In the note, I will say, Madam Chair, in the notice of intent to subdivide, both proposed lots were identified for residential use. However, on the sketch plan, proposed lot 2 was identified for commercial use. And on the final plat, both lots are intended for residential and commercial use, just so we wanted to mention that. Agency referral requirements have been met. Keel Sanitation indicated they can provide solid waste removal services. The applicant submitted an invoice from Garland Light and Power as a way to basically say, you know, in this case, electricity can be there, is there. It's appropriate for them to receive service from Garland Light and Power. The applicant also submitted a request for gas service from MDU. And the applicant has submitted a petition for inclusion from Northwest Rural Water. And Northwest Rural Water, I believe, did grant that petition. Yes, Northwest Rural Water said the Northwest Rural Water Board approved the petition for inclusion, and Northwest Rural Water has committed to providing 1 residential service to this property. Fire District number 1 said they can provide fire protection. The post office said they can provide mail delivery when and if that's required or necessary. Powell Clerks for Conservation District report found 3 soil types. Soil types are rated not limited, somewhat limited, and very limited for dwellings with or without basements and buildings. And these soil types are considered very limited regarding septic drain fields. Park County School District 1 responded. They said they will be able to provide bus service if necessary. TCT said they may have the ability to provide internet and phone service to these lots. Weed and Pest conducted an inspection, found noxious weeds. Mary said a long-term noxious weed management plan will be required. DEQ responded their agency contacts should certain activities occur. For this property, property taxes have been paid in full. Game and Fish responded. They said they have no terrestrial wildlife comments, but they did provide their consistent or regular subdivision recommendations. Public Works responded. They confirmed legal access exists from Lane 5. Public Works said addressing, of course, needs to be done should a building permit be issued. Public Works also responded with language regarding any right-of-way permit applications that need to be submitted. The remaining parcel is proposed to be accessed by a 30-foot access easement, Madam Chair, and you can see that on the this is final plat, on the final plat. However, and I believe this came from Public Works. Public Works, I believe, is recommending a 60-foot access and utility easement But my understanding is they're recommending it, but they're not requiring. And my understanding is should further dividing occur on that remaining parcel. They said also a drainage and erosion control plan, they as in Public Works, is not required at this time. Shoshone Irrigation District has reviewed and approved a water distribution plan for this subdivision. We've not received any public comments. Planning and Zoning reviewed this sketch plan at their meeting in November of last year. They recommended that sketch plan and they had conditions. The applicant has decided to propose individual wells. However, they're not able to obtain a water well sample. And so as a result, the applicant had placed on the final plat, no water analysis was conducted and availability and quality of potable water is unknown. Systems may be required. So they had that placed, which is consistent with the regs. They had that placed on the final plat. The applicant has provided written consent from all adjacent landowners that a perimeter fence is not necessary. However, the landowner himself has not provided that, and that's something I believe that we will require. And Madam Chair, a long-term noxious weed management plan has been approved and provided to us. The final plat review committee reviewed this final plat on January 25th of this year. And again, a revised final plat was submitted on January 26th after there were some minor changes made. Madam Chair, our conclusion is a subdivision improvements agreement is not required since there's no applicable improvements that are proposed or incomplete. We recommend approval of this final plat, New Roots Vineyard and Winery, with the following conditions. One is, our first recommended condition is the applicant shall provide all easements as requested by applicable utilities and special districts, irrigation districts, or public agencies providing services. The width of any utility easement shall be sufficient to allow adequate maintenance of the system, but in no case shall such utility easement be less than 20 feet in width. Easements must be identified on the final plat. The applicant, as the remainder parcel landowner, shall provide his written consent that a perimeter fence is not necessary. Our third recommended condition, the applicant shall address driveway maintenance responsibility in the notarized disclosure statement. And number four, the applicant shall otherwise comply with standards in the Park County development regulations and the minimum subdivision requirements as set forth in Wyoming statute 185306. And Madam Chair, we're happy to answer questions should you have any.
I just have one, dealing with the water. If I have this correct, they're doing two lots and one already exists. One well already exists. Correct? There is no well.
No, I'm sorry. There is no well on this property.
Okay, but they're only looking at one tap from Northwest Rural Water District? That's the way I read the project.
That is correct. They at the time they were starting the subdivision process, they were thinking of just one lot. So they had gone through the process of getting permission from NRWD. So instead of getting another, they are proposing well for one lot and NRWD for another lot. NRWD did also clarify that if the one tap is intended for commercial, that it would require additional review.
Absolutely. Okay.
And consent from them.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, in response to your question, water, proof of water isn't required. However, there isn't a condition that's on the plat that says systems may be.
Right.
So we can add that to our final. That's a condition,
I
correct?
think it's on there already.
Is it on there?
It is,
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, that's, I did look at that.
All right.
That's
Yeah.
why it's not in the conditions, because it's already there, right?
Yes,
Oh, right.
thank you. I know.
But I do have one question though, in reference to the conditions as far as, I'll have to scroll, find it, but the fence. And I
Yes.
know this is a pain in the butt for everybody, moving forward, but you've addressed the remaining parcel, but you're not addressing the other neighbors of the subdivision as far as consent of not needing one.
Well, no, they have, we have consent from all other neighboring landowners that approve.
Oh, you
the
do?
fence. It's not necessary.
Okay, include, and am I correct to part of it is BOR?
BOR is not adjacent, but
is.
this is the subdivision. Park County is one.
Right.
That you previously did approve
Okay.
consent.
Any other questions, concerns?
Just, Madam Chair, clarification, the one, we're just missing the actual property owner.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any other questions or concerns? Commissioner Livingston, everything okay? All right. Okay. Pleasure of the board.
Move to approve with condition, Madam Chair.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the application for New Roots Vineyard and Winery Simple Sub 316's final plat with conditions. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you,
Madam
Madam Chair.
Chair, resolution 2024-09.
Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Okay. The next thing on our agenda will be County Public Works Director, County Engineer Brian Edwards. Recommendation for professional engineering and land surveying services for the septic waste receiving station along with the city of Cody.
Thanks, Madam Chair. As you know, we sent out a request for qualifications for engineering services several weeks ago, and in response to that, we advertised locally with both papers and then also contacted every engineering firm within a so many mile radius, and we ended up receiving one statement of qualifications. We committee of myself, Travis, and then Philip and James Keenan kind of looked everything over. Engineering Associates and HDR have teamed up together. They've put together a nice proposal. The statement of qualifications is very well done. I'll say that they've had a history of working with Park County on our wastewater sewer lagoons, as well as the city of Cody on their their wastewater treatment facility. So they know what they're getting into, and they've got a good handle on the project. And so anyway, I forgot last time, or I ended up taking the price proposal home with me instead of leaving it with Colleen, but you can see it had never been touched. It was in the envelope. So I guess first thing would be, we'd recommend awarding a contract to Engineering Associates / HDR and getting them going as soon as possible, with the chair to sign the agreement pending final approval by the county attorney.
So move, Madam Chair.
Second. With Scott second.
Which Scott, no.
Go over there.
Got him.
No. Lee made the motion, Scott Stewart seconded. Okay. So I have a motion on the floor to award the contract to a team of engineering associates and HDR. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Nothing, motion passes. Okay,
Madam Chair, I'll also kind of add, following up on that, Philip Bowman's here with City of Cody, and we've kind of worked out through the whole process. We're gonna do the contract as in Park County up through getting the design part of it. So the design phase and then the construction phase, the city's gonna kind of take that part over because he's pretty much their facility. So I think we've got that worked out, but this may contain some pricing that's more on City of Cody, so we'll go ahead and open it real quick.
so this is for the whole thing?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
probably for the whole thing.
cost.
We can work that out. Me and Philip can
Okay.
work it out contractually.
Just so if we have a heart attack, we know.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody hold on. So design phase services, 404,200. And construction quality assurance, which would be the city side of it, 9% of the construction budget, which they estimate to be about 300,000. So 404,200 for the design phase services. That's what we would be contracting the county. And then we, of course, got a memorandum of agreement with Park County and the city to work out the rest of it. And EA's got a tall task in order to we're gonna try to be ready to bid this in August with having a contractor on board by the October 1st deadline for our funding. So they're gonna have to get moving, but I think it's doable.
And this is ARP dollars
Yes.
that we've listed for this project. Okay,
I did have a discussion with Eric, out in the hall, as well, last week or two. There might be some clarification that's from the state on that exact timing and when our contract needs to be awarded. Brian and I both have, projects using the ARPA grant funding from OSLI. And so, we're still working through those details, but the schedule Brian stated of having this ready to bid in August and awarded by October would be the most aggressive schedule. If that is not the requirement, we get that clarified from OSLI staff. We might be looking at a little bit later to give the design team a little more time to prepare that design and even the construction in calendar year 2025.
okay,
There was confusion on what is committed. And we took it as we signed the agreement, the funds were awarded, you guys authorized us to proceed, city, have our memorandum of agreement to, so to us, it was committed.
Mhm.
But they're looking at it like everything's gotta be under contract.
okay,
So we'll work that out.
Commissioner.
You pretty much mostly answered my question. That was to ask to run through somewhat of a rough timeline. You're awarding or bidding in August, hopefully rewarding in October. I got all that. And the construction happens 20. So what are we looking at possible completion of what is our ideas?
We're
run that-
thinking we've got more time on the construction. They've got October 2026 to get all reimbursements in. But Philip and I tentatively talked about it. We'd of course get them started right away, but then of course you're going through winter and we'd be looking at 2025 spring, summer, doing probably most of the work. So, probably weather dependent, but
And then completed
yeah,
during 25. Because I believe there's also a completion date in December 26th.
October 2026. And the actual deadline is further out, but that's when SLIB,
Okay.
they want everything in by October 1st,
Because then the
2026.
state has to respond to the feds that the money was completely.
Yeah, and they said
used
anything
by
that's
December
not
31st.
will go back. after.
I guess my concern is we can't get started too quick.
Right,
Now, we're gonna, I think, go aggressively and see what happens but we should have plenty of time to get it built. I suspect by the end of 2025, they should be
okay.
well on their way.
I know how government works.
Yeah.
Yeah, the engineering one's the belt, so we'll get that.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Is that a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn.
Adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded
Second.
to adjourn. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Lee, before you
Yes,
leave,
sir.
are you gonna be down next week, down there still?
When are you getting here?
Sunday night.
Okay,
I hope to be
I
there
will
ready
be-
Monday morning still.
Well, then I'm gonna leave Monday. Actually, yeah, I was actually planning on coming home tomorrow, but things are might be getting a little bit western here tomorrow and the next day, so I'm gonna